Hey guys, what's going on? This is Liam here, and I want to talk about one of the most important things you have to actually control, and probably in most people's instances, probably including yours, fix, which is the cyclical components, okay, and systems, okay, of your day. Okay, so let's get into it. So, first thing we have to talk about is light. So, how does light affect the body? Okay, how does light affect metabolism? How does light affect tinnitus? So, first of all, something that you'll probably find really, really interesting is you have pigments in the ear, okay, behind the tympanic membrane that can actually absorb and take in light. And the purpose of this is to power the mitochondria, okay, inside of the cochlea. So you have the stereocilia, right, like this, and then you have the neurotransmitter, and you use potassium ions, and you use sodium ions, okay. And unfortunately, if you have a problem, you'll be using calcium ions, and you get calcification. You get a whole bunch of problems, and that's if you have a lot of exposure to EMF, okay. And this whole system here with the mitochondria, so you have the nucleus, and you have the atoms, and then you have the electrons, okay. So the electrons power the mitochondria through a process of inside the mitochondria you have two membranes, and then going across the two membranes you have the electron chain transfer system, and you also have the process of phosphorylation, as well as many other factors that go into the process of electron chain transfer. Okay, you also have the rate of heteroplasmy, which is how quickly the electrons can travel across the membrane in order to provide, okay, ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, which powers your mitochondria. Okay, now I had somebody recently who contacted me and they said, I like your advice, and what do you think about this? But it always spikes my tinnitus, and it was a red light clip that some company had made to clip into the ear. Now, for those of you who don't know about red light is actually great for the mitochondria, okay? And blue light is awful. Blue light dries it out, okay? For those of you who don't realize, blue light from this screen I'm looking at right now, and your screen that you're looking at right now, most closely resembles in the natural world, it most closely resembles morning light. So if you're, and remember there's different, okay, spectrums, okay, of color, and they're different depending on the time of day. And your eye, and then behind your eyes, behind the retina, you have the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which goes into the brain, and it controls the body clocks. So if you're looking at blue light at 10 p.m. at night right before bed, what are you telling your body to do? First of all, you're not telling it to go to sleep for the next 7 hours. So if you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're wondering what's going on, wonder no more, okay? That's what's going on. If you look at any screens after sundown, you're asking for problems. If you are spending all day under artificial light directly on your skin or your eyes, you're asking for problems, okay? And you're getting it into your ear as well. You're getting it into your eye, you're getting it into the photoreceptors on your skin. If you are out in the sun, but you're having a high level of salicylates in your diet, so that would be plant products, okay, and even some medications, sodium salicylates, you are asking for problems. Why? Because salicylates is a plant toxin, it's a defense mechanism, and it will bind with the photoreceptors in your skin and cause you to get a horrific rash from the sun. Also, if you get a spike of your tinnitus when you spend time in the sun, you most likely have a salicylate problem, okay? The sun is what gives us life, okay? It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. If you look at the purchase increase of sun cream, you will also see the purchase increase of skin cancer go up with it. Now, that's an association, and an association is not causal. Okay, I'm going to give you an example again, which I use to explain the difference between epidemiology and actual science. Every single study, okay, which may, let's say, promotes veganism, or let's say says that sun cream is helpful, or says that grains are good for us, or says that blue light isn't that bad, basically everything that just goes against common sense, okay, is usually founded, well, is epidemiology. It's fine to do epidemiology, an epidemiological study in the beginning, but it's not the be all and end all. It's not science. It's not, I don't even think it would be that passable in court. If you're trying to convince a jury, yeah, maybe they'll believe it because they don't know what's going on. Epidemiology is like this. Let's say that my brother, let's say that he brought a exchange student home from university, and as it timed with the exchange student's arrival, I had like, say I had 10 watches, but I don't, and then one by one they started to disappear. I would probably think, oh well, there's an association I can associate with the arrival of that guy or girl and the loss of my belongings. That's an association, okay? But let's say that I set up a camera and then I find out that it was my brother stealing it, and he saw that this was a great opportunity for him to steal my timepieces that he's always wanted, and now he can shift the blame onto that person. Now that's causal. I have a causal reason. I could, I can see him doing it, okay? And you can also do this in health with things like mechanisms with diabetes, with insulin, okay, and insulin resistance is causal mechanisms. For example, the Randall cycle. And if you look at, what's his name? I've absolutely forgotten his name, but Dr. Kessler there's a great interview with this ENT, and he's talking about how he's even talking about things that I'm talking about now, and but his interview is older, but he talks about the endoplasmic reticulum, not the mitochondria. With endoplasmic reticulum is folded proteins and energy, and it provides energy too. And he's talking about when he takes grains and plants out of people's diet, that their tinnitus goes away, okay? And also, here's an interesting thing, like one of the, I think it was in the 50s, one of the doctors who spoke about how to fix pre-diabetes and hyperinsulinemia, what was the first thing he did? Did he take out grains? No, he took out plants. But besides the fact that plants are packed with horse shit, okay, and they're thrust upon us like they're some health food, but they're not, okay, they also contain carbohydrates. People say, well, we should be having carbohydrates and grains and wheat and white bread and flour and blah, 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 and sugar, because we have the microbiome and our mitochondria can break it down. Well, that's great, but maybe it was there in the first place to break down the carbohydrates in plants. Remember, humans, we're so highly above any other animal in the world by so far. The size of our brain, opposing thumbs, okay, our capacity to break down almost any food and utilize it. Now, of course, if you want to break down plants and you want to get B12, you're going to have to eat your own shit, which is what vegans do. If you saw that vegan study between Chris Kresser and Liam, why do you talk about veganism so much? Because it's the #1 cause of tinnitus that I've ever seen. It's huge, it's rampant, it's a disease, okay, it's sick. So Chris Kresser and that guy who was the main character in that fiction movie about why veganism is good, Game Changers, okay, that propaganda thing to promote fake meat. He was talking about B12, the best way to get it is through supplementation or eating dirt. And so he was talking about that study where these vegans who are B12 deficient, because you can't get B12 on a vegan diet, nor can you get DHA or K2 or numerous other things, including some amino acids, okay, ridiculous. You just can't absorb it. I don't care if it's in the plant, you can't absorb it, alright? So they were talking about how these vegans would eat the dirt, they wouldn't wash the vegetables, and they would eat the dirt on these plants and tubers, and from the dirt they would get B12. So therefore you can't get B12 on a vegan diet. But just hold on a cotton picking minute, because if you read the study, it says that the dirt was full of night soil, and night soil is human shit. So if you read the study, you'll see that those vegans were eating the plants and they were shitting into a bucket, and the person who was running the study was going and getting the shit and just throwing it into the ground, and then they were growing new vegetables from shit, which is fine, you can do that, but then you don't wash the vegetables and it's your own shit, so you're eating your own shit. And the reasoning behind this was because B12 can be extracted from plants in the colon, but the colon can't absorb any nutrients, or it can't absorb B12, sorry. So you just poo it out and then it's just there. Now, gorillas have a great way of handling this issue by eating the shit. That's great, that's just fantastic. It's called coprophagia, so enjoy watching that. And then I guess vegans have figured it out. Now, would you call that regressing or progressing, eating your own shit? I don't know, I guess I'd have to think about it. But the point I'm trying to make is, really to beat tinnitus, what I've noticed is you just don't have to look at all these studies, and you just don't have to go wait for a clinical trial to come out, and you just don't have to believe everything that your doctor says, because even though he's an authority figure, sometimes people make mistakes. You just have to use common sense. Cut out the blue light after sundown. Get up early in the morning. Start exercising. Cut out the bullshit peasant foods like the grains and the rice and the pasta and the cereal and the oatmeal and the coffee and the tea and the tannins and the alcohol and the high fructose corn syrup. Okay, if you're going to eat a banana, the liver's going to have to convert the fructose into glucose before your brain can use it anyway. So just fucking eat meat, and through gluconeogenesis, you can get the glucose that you need properly, okay? Without any strenuous effort. Christ. Anyway, so hope that video helps. So the point of the cycle I was talking about, maybe you can try cutting out food after the sun goes down. Maybe you can try just getting into bed and sleeping when the sun goes down. Okay? And that's probably all I'll talk about in this video, because those things, as simple as it seems, are really hard to do because people get bored and they don't want to go to bed, or people have jobs where they have to do night shift. I mean, Jesus, that's just something, isn't it? I remember when I was sick, the nurses on night shift, I was thinking, like, you are going to have a myriad of health problems in about 5 years, if not you're already struggling with it now. Like, Christ. Anyway, so hope this video helped somehow. Go and apply that stuff.